What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. And yeah, sorry I didn't release a video yesterday. Wanted to do one yesterday actually about gold, but I had to handle some other shit for my business here, so I had to deal with that during the night because gold had some pretty crazy price action. I'll do a video on that later this week, or maybe later today. But this video that I wanted to talk about, I wanted to provide some, three kind of insights as to why it is really a time right now to avoid buying altcoins, despite the fact what any, YouTuber or other influencer may say about the market right now. There's still a lot of that kind of like bullish video content out there. So obviously for beginners, it really muddles everything up. But I think it's obviously pretty clear at this point that in terms of crypto, we're entering a bear market now, or we've been in a bear market now for a few weeks. And it's really a time, especially if you're not, trading the market, but you're really rather investing in the market and trying to go long on the market. It's just really a time more than anything to just kind of avoid and be patient, especially with altcoins. Okay. Sometimes when for example, I'm part of this one Facebook group on crypto, and I see pictures of some people's portfolios, and it just blows my mind that people have portfolios that only consist of altcoins, and they don't even contain any large cap altcoins like Ethereum or Cardano or anything, but they're just essentially made up of a lot of small cap coins or shit coins. And I mean, I understand it because if you're a beginner, you just, when you enter the space, you really just think that, all of these projects are here to stay, but that's just reality, not the case. You also look at these prices and the market caps, and you just think that these are just what it is, and that these projects are going to always hold these kinds of valuations. But man, that's so not true. So I just want to show a few insights onto the chart as to why this is really not a time to be buying altcoins, and more than anything, it's a time to be patient. Okay. Um, so the first thing that I just want to look at is total market cap, okay, for all cryptocurrencies. So this is what we're looking at right now. So at the peak that we hit prior to that big old dump that we saw, now almost a month back, I want to say. Yeah, now almost a month back. We hit a peak of $2.57 trillion market cap, okay, which when you really think about it is totally ridiculous considering that a lot of these projects barely even have working products or actual usage. But anyway, I digress. So we hit a peak of about $2.5 trillion dollars, and we essentially almost saw like a about uh, almost yeah about one about yeah whatever it is $1 trillion drop in market cap at the time. And now we're seeing things just kind of, consolidate at this area here. But it really looks like that given also the price of Bitcoin and all those other things that there's definitely going to be further downside here. Okay. And this is really important to understand because it just shows you that overall the whole cryptocurrency market is now entering a bear market. Okay, so in cryptocurrencies, it's important to understand that during a bull market, certain projects can really take off versus other coins, or like when everything is kind of stable at one point, certain projects will really shoot up or moon, as they say. Um, but in a bear market, when the whole uh, crypto industry is essentially pulling back, more often than not, projects are going to follow. And in fact, especially altcoins are going to decrease at a further rate than Bitcoin. And I'm going to go into the dominance chart soon. But just so that you understand, we're still at extremely high valuations right now. And given that we're entering a bear market, this type of valuation is way overextended. And we really just need to look at the previous top, right, back in 2017 to understand how overextended we are, right? So this was the previous top here, just at around 767 billion. And now we're still at 1.47 trillion. So do not be surprised, right, when we're looking for kind of support and resistance in terms of market cap for the total market. Do not be surprised, right, for us to go back to that previous top and hopefully try and make that support. That's really the kind of level that I'm looking for ultimately, to see if we can actually hold that. And given the the advancements being made in the industry, hopefully we can hold that as, everything becomes more fundamentally sound, more usage comes into the market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's really the key level that I'm personally looking at, and that I think, given the just natural pullback we're going to see, would be actually a very, very, very healthy kind of pullback. If we could actually see some consolidation at these levels here, that would actually be fantastic. But the reality is right now we're still very, very far away from that. And consequently, we probably have quite a lot more downside there. Where is most of this um, liquidity going to be moved from? It's going to be moved from altcoins, from these projects that have way less fundamental value, don't have nearly as much usage, and where people have made insane amounts of profits during this bull run, right? People are going to start taking out their profits, and that's, I think, what we're seeing happening, right? Especially when we start looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart. Okay, there is this one level of support here at around 1 trillion that I think I'm also definitely eyeing, of course, just given that psychological number around, yeah, actually I'll use the rectangle. Just given the kind of psychological barrier of that uh, of that number, and where we previously had it as resistance over here back in January. That's definitely another level to look at, but I'm not that confident that we're going to necessarily hold that. We'll just have to see how everything plays out. Okay, so that's the first thing. Make sure you're looking at the total market cap, right? And it clearly shows that at the moment, not the time to invest into altcoins, right? Let's also look at the Bitcoin dominance charts. So as I was saying before, as the whole market pulls back, right, a lot of the liquidity is going to actually be coming out from a lot of the higher risk plays, like mid-cap coins and small-cap coins, okay? If we look back at the previous peak back in 2018 in terms of Bitcoin dominance, we reached a top of about 40%, which means that Bitcoin dominated 40% of the total market cap, okay, back at the last cycle. And sure enough, during this cycle, we saw a similar bounce at 40%, right? So we hit a peak of 40%, and now Bitcoin dominance is starting to regain at 44%. I would not be surprised at the very least for us, as I've drawn in this rectangle here, at the very least for us to be pulling back right now to a 50% level, where then alts had a bit of a relief rally back to 40% before going back further down. But at this point in time, I don't think it would be wild to say that we're probably going to see Bitcoin dominance go back up to 50% or higher. Could even be higher, just because of how crazy the cycle was, how much these altcoins grew in valuation over the last few months, and how much consequently money is going to start leaving altcoins, okay? Or potentially just shift back into Bitcoin, which is a much safer asset to have your money in right now if you still want to be in the crypto market, okay? So that's really the key level that we want to look at 50%. But what does that consequently mean as well? Altcoins are going to continue to bleed. And right now, you should definitely avoid buying altcoins. At the 50% level, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of bounce we may get, if we're going to see something similar to what we saw back in 2018. But you need to pay attention to that. All I'm just saying, as of right now, despite all the fundamental improvements that have been made on a lot of the altcoins like Ethereum or so, et cetera, it's still very, very important um, to understand that during a bear market, these alts are going to bleed, and we want to be paying attention to these dominance levels. Okay. The last thing that I would say is, as I've mentioned multiple times in the previous video, Bitcoin, especially during a bear market, dominates price action for the whole market. What I mean by that is, if Bitcoin is pulling back, the alts are going to just bleed more, okay? People are looking at Bitcoin, traders are looking at Bitcoin price to determine whether they should go into altcoins or not. It's just how the market currently functions still, and we still have not reached a point where altcoins are actually able to almost, let's say, uh, operate by themselves. they're still very, very responsive to Bitcoin price during a pullback, okay? And while we did actually get quite a nice rebound the day that we broke this wedge back here, we got that classic hammer candle and that engulfing candle. Let me get the pen. While we did see a nice rebound here, right? And I'm not exactly sure why this happened, if this was just, a lot of buy orders being triggered here, or if it was also to do with that news about El Salvador. I don't really know. But the reality is that we still got rejected pretty badly at the 21-day moving average. And it's no secret that, especially for Bitcoin, the 21-day moving average really tends to prove to be a either bullish or bearish indicator, in the sense that if we're bouncing off the 21-day to the downside, we're probably in more of a bear market, vice versa in a bull market. We're also seeing this pattern of constant lower highs, okay? Here, and we're now actually seeing lower lows here. Okay, so obviously this is pretty bearish price action at this point, okay, regardless of this bounce. This is why it's really important to stay patient when dealing with, especially with a bear market in crypto, because you'll often get these relief rallies, or you'll also get these almost like fake out rallies in crypto, just because of how volatile the market is and how I mean, just how small the market is as well compared to much more mature markets like currencies or whatever. So you'll often get these kind of fake outs. Um, it really pays dividends to stay patient during these times. Don't FOMO into a fake breakout like this, okay? And just, kind of look at the chart from a much more, from a, let's say, like a longer term perspective, and understand that, hey, right now we're definitely entering a bear market, and it is what it is. So just stay patient and choose the right times and opportunities to get back into the market at a lower price. Okay. The reality is that if you weren't part of the last bear market, okay, back in 2018, let me take a sip of my coffee. If you weren't part of the last bear market in 2018, it may be hard for you to understand how rough a bear market can be in crypto, right? Um, Everything was so overvalued right now. That's what we have to fully appreciate. The valuations and market caps of some of these projects were so over the top, okay? And all I mean by that is, ultimately, just like how in a bull market with crypto, it feels like the top, we just keep on breaking new all-time highs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In a bear market, the feeling is the other way, where it just feels like price couldn't go any lower, and it just keeps on going lower, especially with altcoins, okay? Seeing prices drop 95% or more is super, 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 super common, okay? And I don't expect anything different right now. All those, especially with all those shit coins like built on Binance Smart Chain, Burger, or whatever, all those types of coins, oof, that's going to be rough. So you have to really respect that fact. You have to respect the fact that the market was extremely overvalued, and now it's correcting. So we're going to see a lot of correction, uh, which could maybe be way more than you could ever expect. Okay. But on a more positive note, the last thing I'll say is, again, the most money gets made during a bear market, right? Because ultimately you can get these, especially the most fundamentally sound assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can get them at the best prices, and then consequently you can make the best gains when the market reverses again. So don't forget that. Just be patient and look for good opportunities, especially when the market seems to be slowly starting to turn around. Okay? Anyways, if you have any questions, leave a comment, and please give this video a like. Thanks.